Breaking news at First Take this morning. University of North Carolina men's basketball coach Roy Williams is retiring. After 18 seasons as head coach of the Tar Heels, the iconic Blue, Williams is a three-time national champion at UNC, and he's been to 9 Final Fours in his Hall of Fame careers, 33 seasons as a head coach in total. Stephen A., what's your reaction to the news and ultimately Roy's legacy?
First of all, it's a couple of things that I want to get off my chest. First things first, I want to give much praise and thanks to Roy Williams, who I think has been an outstanding coach and vastly underappreciated, because every time we look at Chapel Hill, if we look at that Piedmont Triad area, but just that whole area in Durham and what have you, we've thought about Mike Krzyzewski and Duke. I would remind everybody that Roy Williams has won 2 national titles. It wasn't just 9 Final Four appearances. Now, I'm talking about North Carolina. I'm sorry, North Carolina. I know Kansas, but at North Carolina as well. The man's won 2 national titles at North Carolina. He's won 74% of his games in his 18 years. Major props to him for all that he has done for the game. We're going to miss him. Having said all of that, we should remember him as one of the all-time great coaches in the history of college basketball. The man is a flat-out winner. He got it done a lot more often than not, as far as I'm concerned. Major props to him. Now let me get to where I want to go, Max Kellerman, because I want to throw out a couple of names there, because obviously this is one of the premier spots in college basketball. North Carolina, UNC, Chapel Hill, Dean Smith, the Dean Dome, where Jordan and Worthy and Kenny Smith and everybody else played. Oh, we know all of that. Vince Carter, Antoine Jamison, the crew, the list goes on and on.
In the day, beat everybody.
Let me give a list. I want to be the first to give a hit list of coaches who should be considered, okay? Let me first, listen, Jay Wright at Villanova, we all know what an outstanding coach is. I feel remiss if I neglected to mention him, even though he ain't going nowhere. He's going to be at Villanova, but I just want to throw that name out there. Hubert Davis has been an assistant coach there for 9 years. He played 12 years in the NBA. We got to give him some love and respect. Jerry Stackhouse was an All-American and was a star in the NBA. Has been coaching at Vanderbilt the last 2 years, although he's had 2 losing seasons. But you're thinking about recruiting and everything. I'm going to shock the world. Max Kellerman, y'all might not know this name. Lavelle Moulton, the head coach at the University of North Carolina Central and HBCU. Max Kellerman, the man has won 60% of his games. He's won 4 regular season titles. He's won 4 conference titles. He's been to the NCAA a couple of times. The man is right there. He's a Raleigh native. Should have had the damn North Carolina Central job if they had the sense. Now, that's not to say their coach, all right, Kevin Keese hasn't done a decent job. He's had winning seasons all 4 years. Only took them to the NCAA tournament once in the 4 years, not the last 3. They've won their share of games. But in this day and age, as I think we have seen and we have proven, there is a paucity of African Americans in prime positions in college sports overall. We don't talk about that enough. We don't talk about the importance of recruiting nearly as enough, with the advent of a lot of things, being able to come to the NBA early, going to the G League, having other opportunities. You need somebody that can recruit, that's got a track record, that's homegrown. University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill is only about 25 miles away from Raleigh, Durham. I believe that Lavelle Moulton, the head coach for North Carolina Central, should be strongly considered to be the next head coach in Chapel Hill. And that's saying a lot, because I'm from Winston-Salem State. At HBCU. They the enemy. They the competitor. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm executive producing Why Not Us in concert with Roadside Entertainment and Chris Paul.
Why not him?
And it's about that program. So I've gotten to know the man, but I believe he can coach. I believe he can get it done. And if I'm the University of North Carolina, before I hire anybody, I interview that man for the head coaching job at the University of North Carolina, which is right up the road.
I don't know about that, Stephen A. I don't know. I'm going to have to consult with the Council of White People, because it may be too many African-American coaches.
Oh, well.
It may go above the number.
We wish.
It may go above the number. Everyone's going to get very nervous.
Max, you're hilarious.
Go ahead.
I mean, but no, he's right, Molly, because the jobs become available, and we always lament the fact that African Americans are way underrepresented as a percentage of participants in the sport.
That's right.
In the head coaching position. And now here's a position open, and why don't people think outside the box in terms of like what program you're going to come from? I think Stephen A. makes a lot of good points. I'll just say about Roy Williams. I know it's not exactly like Dean Smith and then Roy Williams, like a little interim period, a couple coaches,
sure.
But basically he follows Dean Smith. It's impossible. How are you going to follow Dean Smith more like within 5 or 10 years and winds up winning, championships there and carving out his own legacy? It's a tremendous, there are some, it's a little bit, there's more of an overlap if you think about Aaron Rodgers replacing Brett Favre. But if you're in Green Bay, you go, boy, we got taken care of at quarterback between two guys for all that time, right? Or Mickey Mantle replacing Joe DiMaggio, the same thing. I'm just saying, the Tar Heels, boy, for a lot of decades now, going back to the 60s, had basically, it's a slight exaggeration, say 2 coaches with multiple championships with each coach in that program. That is a tremendous legacy to basically follow Dean Smith and carve out your own legacy the size of Roy Williams is amazing.
I just want to get back to my whole point. And the reason why I bring this up is because this is obviously, HBCUs are near and dear to me. Chris Paul didn't go to an HBCU. Chris Paul went to Wake Forest University, All-American, number 3 overall pick in the NBA draft, number 4. I'm sorry. You know what Chris Paul brings to the table. Chris Paul could have done a lot of things. Chris Paul wanted to highlight that program. Chris Paul could have highlighted a lot of coaches. He wanted to highlight that coach. There's something to be said. And so what I'm talking about is anytime I see a coach, Master P's son came on my show and announced that he's going to Tennessee State.
ESPN
Thank you very
Plus.
much. That's right. And
he
decided he's going to Tennessee State. You've got a situation right now where you're looking at African Americans throughout this country looking for an option other than college basketball. And it's not just about trying to get the bag. It's also about enjoying your college experience and playing for the folks that you want to play with and the coaches that you want to play for. And I believe that when you have a coach at an HBCU that has succeeded to the degree that Lavelle Moulton has achieved at University of North Carolina Central, you're talking about schools that are 30 miles apart. If you sit up there and you got an opportunity to get a brother that can recruit, because we're talking about North Carolina. It's not a private university like Duke. It's a public university. You talk about Chapel Hill. Lavelle Moulton.
Yeah.
Interview that man, North Carolina. Interview that man.
Okay.
We're
getting familiar thanks to Stephen A. All I got to say is Carolina Tar Heel blue, that is iconic. And you all had the starter jacket, too, just like I did back in the 90s.
Of course.
All right, fellas, we'll leave it there. When we come back, I cannot wait to talk about this. I love the UFC.